And we're here with another mock draft during our Mock-A-Thon all week, every single day.
Day 2 of the Mock-A-Thon. We're back to a 12-team standard league. And by your request, John is drafting out of the 8th spot. I'm drafting out of the 4th spot. Stay tuned. Here we go.
Let's do it. And welcome back to a Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jono.
And I'm your host, Chris. And we are jumping into it. Again, like we said, day 2 of our mock draft-a-thon. And we have another standard format for you guys here. 12-team standard format. Regular 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. We're not drafting defense and kickers, so we're going to go 13 rounds here. Subtract the last 2 rounds for a defense and kicker. Just to show it what you can get, where ADP, what we kind of think. Again, before we start, we're on the quest for 500 subscribers. Go ahead, like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Please help some guys out. We'd love getting back to you guys, so make sure you drop a comment. And we will during the season, if you guys want to hear about something, if you guys want to hear about an injury or a projected player or what the snap shares look like for certain people, go ahead and drop a comment. We will bring that content to you.
Yeah, honestly, while we are a smaller channel, this allows us to give the feedback that you guys are looking for. So pile on the comments, pile on suggestions and requests, especially if you've got, direct message us, DM us if you want to sit question during the season. We'll be happy to get back to you. We had plenty of people last year do that, and same with trades and waiver pickups, and we were able to give good advice that help people get towards their championships. So let's jump into it here.
Yeah, so we got kind of the same as the 10-man that we did yesterday. The same 3 picks went before you. So I got Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson. Unlike you going CD Lamb, I am going to go Jamar Chase right here. I think the upside is there this season with a full, healthy Eminem style Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase is in for a big season.
All right, so here afterwards, CeeDee Lamb goes, Bijan, second running back off the board, and then St. Brown. That's leaving Breece Hall for me right here. I had an argument with one of I wouldn't say argument, a constructive conversation with one of our league mates, Mr. Kingpin Kane, and he was going back and forth on his thoughts on running back position and my thoughts on running position, and we kind of differ. He thinks he's surprised we would take Breece above Bijan. I'm not. I can kind of have them back and forth. You can argue any which way. I think both of them have an opportunity to be that top tier running back. Bijan more an opportunity. Breece showed he can do it last year, only just coming off of his ACL injury. He's another year removed. And if you have a healthy Aaron Rodgers at the helm and an offensive here, yes, Bijan may have a better offensive line.
Well, I also think his argument, because I had the same argument with him, I also think his argument was very misguided because he didn't realize the completely revamped offensive line that the New York Jets
New York Jets, too, yeah.
They have 4 new offensive linemen this year, or
I
3 new
still
offensive
rank
linemen.
Atlanta's offensive line better, but it was good enough last year for Breece Hall to still rush like a demon and catch a ton of balls.
With you, but I'm a Jets fan, so I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Breece Hall, and shout out to Get It, who requested this 12-team.
Get it.
So, and I believe also Ibrahim, who requested a 10-team, you also requested a 12-team. But here's from the 8th spot for Get It. I'm going to go Breece Hall to start off this draft. A.J. Brown goes, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Garrett Wilson, Puka, ETN, A.J. Brown. So I would have went here in a standard scoring Breece Hall, Derrick Henry had he fallen to me, but he did not. So now I got to decide, do I want to go with the rookie? Do I want to go with Kyren Williams again? And I find very difficult to click off of Kyren Williams. Devontae Adams, I actually have ranked slightly higher than Marvin Harrison, and that's just because of the sheer fact that for Marvin Harrison as a rookie to crack into the top 10, the numbers you have to get into the top 10 are pretty difficult numbers. I mean, they're not Puka Nacua rookie numbers, but they're still prolific amount of numbers from a rookie season to do it. Can he do it? Yeah, probably. But to me, I'm going to go with my sure hand, Kyren Williams, double up my running backs, and then move on from there. Afterwards, Harrison, London, Allen go. Chris here.
I mean, this is easy.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams. Love to see that.
Yep. Can't complain about that. Jacobs goes Debo, Olave. Pacheco kicks off the 3rd round. Achane afterwards, and Travis Kelce.
Yeah. And you know what? I am going to go get Mike Evans here.
So this, to me, this 3rd round in a 12-team league is really where you have to really think about who you like better in these rankings and what teams on offense you like better, because it's a jumbled mess of, do I jump up on a quarterback? Do I jump up on a tight end? Or wide receivers that are left are really the biggest group that's snatched up here. And you've got to sift through and see who you like.
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at the back end of the draft, and it's like, all right, well, am I going to overdraft a running back? Do I really love Rachaad White? He's the top available on the board. And the back half of the draft is just sitting there with all the running backs. Do I want a wide receiver to drop down to them? No. Go and stack running backs to the back half of the draft. I'll let those guys fall when you're straggling and going to get these second-tier receivers. I'm going to go and stud my team up, and I'll get some good running backs along the way.
Yeah. I'd be sitting here at the third spot thinking maybe Jalen Hurts here. A guy who could finish top 3, top 1 here because Pat Mahomes did go. However, I want to solidify this wide receiver 1. He may fall to me in this next round, the 8th spot, but I don't want to risk that. I want to shore it up, and I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp here, who I talked about in our previous draft that I really like. He's a great option for wide receiver 1. Over Nico. I'm not sold that Nico's going to be able to produce the numbers he has with Stephon Diggs there. That's just my concern. And I only bring that up because he had such small catch numbers in terms of, and target numbers compared to some of the other top wide receivers out there, that you give a guy like Stephon Diggs more opportunities out of the slot. It's no longer a 2 wide receiver set type of opportunity. You now bring a 3rd wide receiver in that's going to garner targets. Again, if CJ Stroud throws for 5,000 and 40 touchdowns, I think I could eat my words, but I don't think that's happening.
I don't know if it's going to be those numbers, but you're going to eat your words for sure. I think it opens up one-on-one coverages against Nico a lot more by bringing Diggs on the other side.
It could.
And Tank Dell in the slot. You can't double any of them.
No, it could. Absolutely. But do you see Nico Collins beating his numbers from last year?
Yeah.
Because I don't. I can see him matching his numbers from last year, but I don't see him beating them.
I think his touchdown numbers could go up.
Could.
So
could.
And
they do have a better running back.
Yep. To each their own.
Yep. Anyway, Jalen Hurts goes after that. Rachaad White, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman, Lamar Jackson, James Cook, and I'm back on the board here deciding, okay, do I want to get my quarterback? Do I want to still go with depth? And I'm going to continue to go with depth here. I'm going to go lock up DJ Moore and get my second wide receiver, so I get my two at each of my top position players here. Malik Neighbors, as a Giants fan and opportunity-wise, I love it. I don't love it in the 4th round. Joe Mixon, again, like his opportunities and chances there, don't love it in the 4th round. So I'm going to go ahead and go get DJ Moore. Mixon goes after, Kenneth Walker goes after that, Malik Neighbors, and on to Chris.
So taking a look, I know I'm not going to have a chance at 2 of these guys. I might. I'm going to go Aaron Jones here, and I'm going to cross my fingers that this guy falls back down to me. Fudge!
You wanted Connor?
I wanted Connor.
Yeah, I know.
I wanted Connor.
But Kamara's still there. That's not bad.
Kamara's still here.
But I see what you were trying to do.
I wanted Jones and Connor there. I'll take Jones and Kamara, and I'll be happy with that.
Now the situation with doing what Chris did here is he's calling his shot. He's taking the guys he wants. He's sticking away from ADP there. Now, in the case where he's hoping somebody falls, that first pick's got to be the guy that you want the most out of the 2 guys.
I'm gonna throw a wrench. I'm gonna go and get Anthony Richardson here instead of my second running back. I'm not, I like Kamara a lot this year, but going back-to-back running backs, like I really wanted Connor there. I didn't get him. I passed up on Kamara to go and get Aaron Jones. So was I really in love with Kamara that much? Don't feel like you need to force your hand on these. There's going to be other running backs down the road, next round, the round after that I can go and get and now reach for. And again, it allows me to do that because up top I have Chase, Adams, and Evans.
Yeah.
So do I need another receiver immediately? No.
And here's the one thing I will say is ADP can be a trickster.
A fickle mistress.
Yeah, it could be a trickster for you because it's basing off of all this data coming in. You may not like a player, and then all of a sudden you see a name at the top of an ADP list that's left. It can trick you into trying to take a guy versus getting a better value off the board, which is why I always recommend doing your homework, put pen to paper, create your list. Even if you take a cheat sheet from ESPN, Sleeper, if you take it from CBS or Fantasy Pros, take the cheat sheet and then you draw your lines on where you have your tiers, or highlight colors or numbers where your tiers are. Let's say this guy's in my second tier. And if Alvin Kamara is a tier 4 or 5 running back for you and Anthony Richardson is a tier 2 quarterback, that may be your answer on where you go with a situation like that.
For sure, and then you got to stay true to your plan going into it on pre-ranking your own players. Don't go by an automatic draft board. Don't get a prefabbed one. Get one of those, but then customize it yourself. And what I do personally is a highlight. So I have a color system where a different color is different tiers, and I do 4 different tiers for each position. So I can go back and be like, all right, well, my tier 1 and tier 2 running backs are off the board, but I still have a tier 1 receiver that's on the board for me. I'm going to go and get him next.
And that's how I suggest doing it too. And that's how most of the other experts suggest too. But this is a perfect situation for Chris there. Same thing for me here is I wanted to solidify a quarterback or a wide receiver depth, but I still had a tier 1/2 tight end on the board. I got McBride off of there, and you could see 3 more went afterwards there. So going McBride was, to me, what I'd rather do, and Burrow still fell to me here, and I feel comfortable going with Burrow over top of any of these other guys. So Kincaid, Cooper, Kamara, Kyler Murray, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, Keenan Allen, Ramondre Stevenson went after I picked McBride. The only other person I'd be willing to go take in this situation here is to lock up Terry McLaurin because of the opportunity he has there. But there's a chance Joe Burrow could throw for 40 touchdowns this season.
Yeah.
There's a chance he could throw for almost 5,000 yards. If he's healthy and his receivers stay healthy, this is a huge opportunity. And then you get somebody like Jermaine Burton that could take the top off here and there. Yoshivas, a solid wide receiver 3 option. And they may lean less on the running game than they did on Joe Mixon in the past couple of years. So give me Joe Burrow prime time here, finishing in the top 5 quarterbacks.
Hopefully his knees are not weak and he's not eating his mom's spaghetti. So I said I can do this later on. I'm gonna stay true to what I want to do, and it's getting another running back here. I'm kind of tempted to go tight end within the next 2 picks. We'll see what my next pick brings up and the swing around, but I'm going to go Zamir White here, a guy that's going to have a volume play in an offense that should be really good with Gardner Minshew at the helm.
Yeah, I think the fact that you went Richardson over top of Kamara and you still have Najee Harris, Zamir White as options for you after that just shows that reaching on, and it's not really reaching, but it would be a reach for you in terms of your rankings to get Kamara there instead of Richardson, a top quarterback, and you can still get one of those other guys later if they fall to you, even if Stevenson fell to you too.
Yeah,
as well.
and this kind of solidified my thought process. If Raheem Mostert didn't go, I was going to go Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert did go, but there's one other running back here that with Zach Moss that I know I have. Jamar Chase, I'm not again, we talked about it last draft that we did. I'm never worried about getting a RB1 on a team and a wide receiver 1 on a team, especially if it's on a good offense. And Zach Moss is a running back 1 on this team. I think that outside of him, there's very few guys that are left that are going to command the kind of workload that he's going to have. Even with Chase Brown taking increased snaps, I still think it's the Zach Moss show. Zach Moss is going to be doing all the goal line work. His touchdown numbers could be, 8 to 12 touchdowns this season. And I'm perfectly okay with that as my RB3, especially I faded RB, and I'll take that over going and reaching on a tight end. Plus, everyone beyond me other than 2 teams have a tight end already.
Xavier Worthy goes after Brock Purdy, Evan Ingram.
Oh, there he goes.
Yep. So here's what I do enjoy about what just happened there with a quarterback and tight end who I solidified already going 2 picks out of the 3 right before me here after Chris gives me an opportunity to draft a guy that I haven't drafted much of, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on because he's on a quote-unquote shared backfield. But I will say one thing. Let's not forget Tony Pollard. Yes, it was not an ACL injury that he had, but he had a severe ankle injury. And he came off last year on an offensive line that was not that great for the Cowboys, an offensive scheme that was brand new for them without Kellen Moore. and he was in a situation where maybe he wasn't 100% healthy coming off an ankle injury. Now, towards the end of the season, he looked a little bit better, but give me Tony Pollard on an offense that's going to be a pass-heavy offense and a change of pace. He can catch the ball. I think we're going to see a resurgence here. I don't think you're ever going to see him have to be a full-on bell cow running back, but I don't need him to be. I need him to be a double-digit a week point-scoring running back, and I think there's a chance there for him. So I'll solidify my third running back with Tony Pollard. Caleb goes as well afterwards. Odunze, Jaden Reed, Godwin, Jonathan Brooks, Rashee Rice, Bowers, McConkey. Rice was the one that I really wanted to fall to me. And that did not happen. So going back to the drawing board, I got 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. Now it's just about best on board depth here. I don't like going double tight end in situations like this. So who would I like here? Deontay Johnson has an opportunity here. If this was PPR, I'd love it. I just don't see Carolina scoring a ton of touchdowns. Do I think they're going to be better? Yes. And if they are going to be better, where the touchdown's coming from. He was kind of on my board. I don't want to go double Titans right away here. Christian Watson. A lot of people here that kind of give me, Jordan Addison. Don't know what that's going to look like there. Don't know if he's going to get a suspension. So give me something that's more of a sure shot to me. I'd rather go with an opportunity in Brian Robinson Jr. here, Gus Edwards to start the season, than anything there. So I'm going to solidify another running back in a standard scoring league because I know there's wide receiver depth later on. Give me Brian Robinson here. First guy to touch the ball, volume. Jordan Addison, Nick Chubb, Njoku. Oof.
Njoku goes right before me.
Yep, you're going to have to go Fergie Ferg.
So I'm going to no, I don't have to go anyone.
You don't.
I don't. And what I'm going to do is, because I'm not going to touch the wide receiver after this for a little bit, and I don't think I'm going to have an opportunity at him. So I'm going to go get Brian Thomas as my wide receiver 4.
I like it. Eckler, Ferguson, Deontay Johnson, Hollywood Brown, Javonte Williams, Jalen Warren.
And in all honesty, I'm going to punt the tight end position for another couple rounds. I was going to go and get a tight end, and I know this is weird. So what I'm about to do here is take another quarterback, and I'm going to take a quarterback within 4 rounds of each other. And I have Anthony Richardson, and you're saying, hey, why are you going to go get another running back with it quarterback when you have a top end quarterback? Well, it's because I'm not sure if he's going to stay healthy the entire season. So I'm going to go and get another quarterback that can have league-winning ability, and that's Jaden Daniels. I have 2 guys back there that both have the rushing upside, that are on offenses that should be better. So I'm going to go and get Jaden Daniels as my QB2.
Gus Edwards goes, Keon Coleman, Christian Watson on to me. Now, here's a situation. Again, we're not drafting defenses or kickers, but I've got myself 4 solid running backs. Tony Pollard and Bijan first off the bench, or one of them in a flex. Again, with Kyron and with Brees, I don't see any one of them starting over top of those guys. Do I feel comfortable just unloading on wide receiver here in the next 5 picks? I could go 5 in a row and be happy with the depth there. Unless value does drop to me at the running back position. But I'm going to start off here with wide receiver. I'm going to go D-Hop. He's top of the ADP board here, which I'd like. But he has an opportunity to be still the wide receiver 1 there, or even a better wide receiver 1B with Calvin Ridley and not get top coverage here and there, which could unleash him a little bit more. So if he's healthy, even if he doesn't start the season, he's first on the bench. Jackson Smith-Njigba, Singletary goes, Goddard, Tua, Spears, Benson, Ford, and Sutton. Oh, that's who I was hoping would fall to me more right there. So Sutton there. Sitting here, there's a couple names on this board that I really like that have upside, and those are going to be Jamison Williams. Those are going to be Khalil Shakir, Romeo Doubs, and Josh Palmer. I want to lean on the Buffalo Bills offense, a high-scoring offense with a top quarterback in the league. Give me one of his weapons in Khalil Shakir, who to start the season could be more often used than Keon Coleman, while he already has a rapport with Josh Allen, and it could be season long. There's a chance. I do like the talent of Keon Coleman, but give me Khalil Shakir and an opportunity that he could be a week-to-week flex play at the least for me.
Yeah, and
Two running backs and a quarterback go afterwards.
Which is great. I don't need another wide receiver right now. From a running back standpoint, there are some guys that I still like up here. I don't have my tight end yet. I kind of have a plan with tight end, but I need to go and solidify at least one guy. Huh?
Ben Sinnott.
Yeah, I mean, it will happen. but Pat Freiermuth, I'm going to go right here and solidify at least a guy that I know is going to have a consistent floor for me. Dalton Schultz goes, TJ Hawkinson goes, and this is a rarity too, is going back-to-back tight ends. But I'm going to go back-to-back tight ends here. I don't love the value that's at running back right now. I can wait another round and get any of the guys that I really like further on my board. But Ben Sinnott here, I'm going to solidify with my 11th pick.
I like it. All right, so afterwards, Herbert, Curtis Samuel, which I wouldn't have gone because he's another Buffalo guy. Tyler Lockett, which I do like. I think people are sleeping on Lockett, expecting JSN to just overtake Lockett's role. Let's not forget Lockett is a legitimate veteran wide receiver who has put up fantastic numbers, not only in fantasy but in actual football.
Numbers.
And last year was a downturn for the offense total. So I think this goes back up. And do you really think that Lockett is just going to take a back seat? I don't think so. They re-signed him and paid him to come back for another year. So give me a wide receiver here. I've got some Hopkins, Shakir. I've got Kupp and DJ Moore. I want to go take a chance on a guy with high upside, a guy that could be a league winner. And I want to go with Adonai Mitchell. I want a guy that maybe first half the season, maybe the first Adonai, AD Mitchell. Let's do AD Mitchell.
Adonai.
So I pick him for the sheer purpose of, hey, listen, maybe the first 8 weeks, it's a slow start for him. But if Anthony Richardson is supposed to be what he is, AD Mitchell is a better athlete than Alec Pierce, and he's a different type of receiver, closer to Michael Pittman than Josh Downs is. So if this offense is rearing, I want to have a piece of it, and here's my chance to get this later on in the 11th round. Now, this is where 3 in a row, there's a chance if Rico Dowdle drops to me here, I'm going to go, nope, did not. I spoke too soon. Rico is who I wanted to go there. I think Rico is going to overtake this backfield in full by end of season, and you can get him in the 12th round. Now, do I think it's going to be heavy rushing offense in the Cowboys? No, but you got to establish a run at some point anyway. So I'm going to fade the wide receiver. I don't want to take a chance on Shaheed since he is a week-to-week flyer. He could be a nothing or it could be something on week-to-week. Leggett on an offense too, rookie, not sure. Palmer I took the last draft. I did like him. I want to take an opportunity to get a piece of an offense that does score a lot of touchdowns, that does have speed. And yes, this is going to be a flyer, but if there's injuries to both the running backs, which happened last year, let's not forget that Wilson was able to get on the field for the Miami Dolphins last year. It's not going to be Wilson this year. It's going to be Jalen Wright. So give me a piece of that speedster that's going to unlock this offense again more. So if there's an injury...
Someone's been talking to Nick Lambros.
No, I've watched a little bit of preseason football. Yeah. But I'm not taking Jalen Wright in the 10th round like Nick Lambros.
Yep. So
Josh Palmer, Rashid Shaheed, Ty Chandler off the board.
Yeah, and I'm going to just fill some depth on my team now. Tyler Algier I'm going to go and get a legit number 2 running back on a team. And my last pick, let's see who comes back around to me. I'm going to throw my guy out there. And this is one of my sleepers this year on a guy you should absolutely go and get. From a dynasty standpoint, you should go and get him. He has been a freak in the preseason so far. He is a boy amongst men, but a man amongst boys. And that's Braylon Allen.
Yep. Taysom Hill, Kendra Miller, who's not going to be drafted in the 13th round at all. But Matt Stafford afterwards. So I want to take a quick second here. We don't know what's going on with Brandon Ayuk yet. If he leaves this team, Ricky Pearsall has some really big upside there.
Cowan.
And that's what I was about to say. I'm not on Pearsall. I think he's talented, but he's dealing with a shoulder subluxation. Who dealt with a shoulder subluxation in their career? This guy right here. And it tore everything when my shoulder popped out.
It's because you're weak-shouldered.
And it tore everything when my shoulder came out. It tore half my labrum off the bone, and my muscles healed up differently for months. And this was a football injury. It also required surgery to repair that and repair muscle and everything like that. And this is already an injury he's dealt with in college.
You know, I'm glad you're talking about your own personal injuries, because otherwise we'd be breaking some HIPAA laws if I talked about your injuries. So glad you are. But
subluxation is a serious thing, because if anybody knows, it's when the shoulder pops out or the hip pops out and goes back in, and when things come out, they tear things. When they go back in, they can tear things. So there may be more to just this shoulder, quote unquote, subluxation separation than it is for just a simple let it heal up and he's good to go, especially because this was a recurring injury already.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with shoulder subluxations, is they are going to be recurring throughout your entire life. You can strengthen the muscles around it, really strengthen and stabilize the shoulder girdle, but this is going to happen. I mean, most of the time, it'll go back into place and they can go right back in there and have full functionality. The problem is that if it doesn't, then this is a long-term injury.
Yeah, so I would be going Pearsall on a shot here, especially if I'm drafting today, in case Ayuk's not there. But instead, I'm going to go with a guy that I think has a safer floor to me. And that's Darnell. And that's Darnell Mooney. I like Jalen Polk, but Darnell Mooney is going to be part of a better offense. He's going to be maybe not the number 2 pass catching option, but he's the number 2 wide receiver there. And he was brought in. He was requested by Kirk Cousins. And I talked about him in one of our other mock drafts. I just think people are sleeping on this offense. We saw what Addison could do in complementary to Jefferson and Hawkinson. And I'm not saying Mooney's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, but touchdown capital is going to be there. Week-to-week startability is going to be there at a flex at best. And what happens if he just sneaks out 1,000 yards? That would be wild. But if he sneaks out 1,000 yards, that'd be amazing.
Give me some Ray McLeod.
Ray? Yeah.
Give me some Ray.
All right, let's do a quick wrap-up before we end this episode. Chris, starting from the 4 spot.
All right, number 4, I went with Jamar Chase after McCaffrey, Jefferson, and Hill goes. I just wanted to take it. Something I haven't done too much, so I wanted to kind of change this draft up a little bit. This is actually the first draft I've only taken 4 wide receivers. But the 4 wide receivers I do have are Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, and Brian Thomas. I'm completely okay with that. Mm-hmm. Going into the season, I'm looking at that team, and I'm like, yeah, I'm okay.
Well, the only reason you took 4 receivers is because you took 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks.
Right. So. But I'm totally okay with having those 4 wide receivers. Mm-hmm. I went first 3 rounds wide receiver, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. Then going and got my first running back, Aaron Jones, off the board. Got my first quarterback with Anthony Richardson. Then loaded up on running back just to get an RB2. Got 2 higher volume guys that are newer into starting roles, which are Zamir White and Zach Moss, full-time starting roles, let me say. Then going to get Brian Thomas. This is where I kind of changed things up and threw myself a curveball on it. Is I got Jane Daniels. I saw him on the board. Value-wise, it was there's other needs that my team had, but value-wise, I'm not going to go and get a backup running on quarterback like that. And if anything did happen to Anthony Richardson, and I think that I'm going to talk about this for a quick hot second here. Hot take. If you have a mobile quarterback that you're drafting early on, you're putting a lot of draft capital into that team. So you got to protect your investment a little bit. All right. Go and get a backup quarterback, making sure that if you lose that position, your team's identity and your team's foundation isn't just completely out the door. All right. If you have a Josh Allen, Team 5 did a really good job. They get Josh Allen and go get Justin Herbert later on. Right. But if you have one of these mobile quarterbacks, you need to solidify your team. Like if Team 10's a great example. No quarterback there. Now, they invested a 4th round draft pick into Lamar Jackson and don't have another quarterback. If Lamar Jackson gets hurt, that team that I'm looking at looks a lot less formidable.
Yeah, they're rolling in with most likely after that someone like Baker Mayfield. They're going there. Let's see.
Daniel Jones.
Deshaun Watson. I don't think he was drafted.
Yep, Deshaun Watson wasn't drafted.
So, there's players out there still, but there's a significant drop-off and question marks at those people.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it would have been better for them to go instead of double tight end. I get what they did with taking Bowers and you take Kmet to solidify just a little bit more floor, but I don't love the Kmet pick because he's in a crowded wide receiver role. now in that position. So I like the Mike Williams and Gabe Davis to cap off the draft. So I see, like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you did there.
And then,
my only thing on that note is if you're going to hinge your bets on a rushing quarterback who initiates contact, I would not go with a rushing quarterback that initiates contact as the backup.
Well, you're right. But
like
I didn't.
I think Goff would have been better off for you there, especially with his
But I didn't.
schedule.
With Jaden Daniels, he's not going to initiate contact.
He does. He showed it in the preseason, and that's always been his thing. Is he doesn't shy away from the contact. Maybe not initiate. He doesn't shy away from it.
He doesn't shy away from it. So anyway, I got 2 mobile quarterbacks on my team, and then I faded tight end completely. I did something that I very, very rarely do in any mock draft, in any draft that I ever go through, is go back-to-back tight ends. But I went and got Pat Freiermuth with a decent floor, guy I can rely on consistently, especially early in the season, waiting for Ben Sinnott to really emerge. Yep. Once Ben Sinnott emerges, I'm going to be completely fine with that. I'm totally okay with either dropping Freiermuth, keeping him on my bench, trading him away to a team that has an injury or needs a tight end. I'm totally okay with that. Finish up and solidify my running back depth with both Tyler Algier and Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen, I probably could have went a wide receiver there, but it's a mock draft. I want to highlight players that we haven't talked about before. So Braylon Allen is a guy that I absolutely think that he can have standalone value this year, especially on the goal line. And we've seen the Jets in the past when the Jets were last good. I know a lot of you guys don't remember it. It's 13 years ago. But when they were last good, they had multiple running backs that were both fantasy relevant. Yeah. They had Sean Green with Thomas Jones, and they had Sean Green with LaDainian Tomlinson. And both those guys were fantasy relevant and fantastic guys that you can go and get.
Well, also, and the other thing I think about this offense is it's a veteran elder quarterback that's going to lean on the run game. Play action pass is going to work really well here, and it allows him to air it out, gives him more time when you can establish the run. And they're going to do that with Brees. And if anything were to happen to Brees, which has happened already early in his career, his rookie season, you have a formidable backup running back that can just be difficult for defenses to scheme against.
Yeah.
And we're talking Brandon Jacobs style running here.
And I think better than that.
Yeah, better than that, but I'm just saying that's the style of runner he is.
Style of runner,
and
but quicker side to side.
We saw that what the New York Giants were able to do with Brandon Jacobs. Yeah. So we'll go here. I'm at the 8th pick, which everybody wanted to see here. A lot of people at the 8th spot. I went double running back right off the bat because the value's there. Kyron Williams arguably should be a first-round pick based off the way he played last year. Yeah, he had injuries, only played, I think, 13 games. But that counts the first game, him not really playing. So you look at Breece Hall, Kyron Williams back-to-back, still able to get Cooper Kupp, which I know in the previous draft I didn't want to back up the double Rams, but I did this time right here because Kupp has such a floor that's high. He, again, should be a second-round. So the fact that I'm getting those two guys around later than they should be, love it. DJ Moore, highest contract in Bears history. They're going to feed DJ Moore. He's going to be the guy that's open. He's still a great wide receiver. Give me a wide receiver 2. I then had Trey McBride in the 5th round, which I love. If I can get a tight end like McBride or Andrews or Kincaid in the 5th, 6th round, I'll take it. I'm less scared about that. I love Kittle, but the disparity of having no points one week versus week winning points another week, I'm not sure if I want to have that volatility. And then Kyle Pitts is just a question mark still. We'll see what happens this year with Kirk Cousins. So McBride, I went Burrow, the last of my tier there before it kind of drops down. Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson, 2 solid starting running backs for their teams as my backups. With then D-Hop, Khalil Shakir, A.D. Mitchell, Jalen Wright, and Darnell Mooney to close out my draft. Just adding the depth with high upside on these guys, especially with Wright and Mitchell. If an injury were to happen to anybody, these guys come in and they are really, really good ball players.
Now, I know it's hard to predict drafts and everything, but there's kind of one thing that you did on your draft that I really didn't like and I didn't agree with.
It's most of my drafts, I feel like. But
no, I mean, like there was one thing. So, Coop, I love your first initial 6 picks. Like, you did a really good job there. But then in the 7th, you went Tony Pollard. And I think you would have been better off and your team would have looked better if you went Rashee Rice or Jaden Reed. Well, as a wide receiver 3. Yeah. And now you faded wide receiver. And I don't hate what you did later on, but you faded wide receiver to where you didn't really solidify that guy like Rashee Rice. That's great value for him right there. You still would have ended up with Brian Robinson. You probably still could have gotten, instead of like D-Hop going and getting, Singletary or Trey Benson. Like, you could have gotten depth there. With Breece Hall and Kyron Williams, you going back-to-back running backs later on in the draft when you didn't have a third wide receiver is something I just didn't I didn't love. And that's the only thing I would have done differently about your team. I really liked the team setup.
And honestly, the reason I did that too is because last draft we did, I went Rashee Rice. So I wanted to see, hey, listen, what happens if I faded that Rashee Rice round pick?
Lad McConkey.
Exactly.
Jaden Reed.
What I was really hoping was anybody but Addison. I could have went Brian Thomas there too as well instead of Bijan Robinson as my wide receiver 3. I would have been happy there too. I dropped them to you. I just wanted to show what you could do from the 8 spot, but also anchor my wide receivers there and go more running back heavy. In these next couple drafts we're going to do, I think I'm going to throw in a 0 RB situation to show the running back depth you can get late, but I also want to go a 0 wide receiver one and just do a plethora of wide receivers late from like the 6th round on and show what that could look like. So, and be happy to do one of those methods too in our upcoming draft. So
I'm going to.
That being said, that's the end of this episode here. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification button.
Mock. It's day 2, baby. We got 3 more coming at you. We got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got episodes coming. Guys, we are on the rush to 500. We are, I think, 19 subscribers away as of today. So come on, help us out. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment. Do everything you got to do. We're here for you guys. We enjoy doing this, bringing this content to you. Hoping to get you ready for the season to win some championships. And then if we are helping you win, if we are giving you content, let's add to our resume. Last year, we had a ton of comment subscribers and comments to us telling us how they are our trade advice, our waiver wire advice, help them win championships. We're here for you guys. There's a lot of championships between this room right here. We've both been in the last 4 years in our league. We've been in the championship every one of those years.
Yeah, that's true.
I won 2 of them.
I won 1 of them.
No,
2019
in the last 4 years.
Oh, well, last 5 years.
5 years.
I've been 4 of the last 5 years. I've been in the championship.
Yeah,
and I won 1 of them.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
And I've been 3 of the last 3, and I won 2 of them.
Yeah, but that being said, take advantage of the fact that we're still a small channel here. Get the subscribers here. Take advantage of this. We have opportunity to get back to you. We're not charging you for advice. We're not charging you for DM content. We're not making you go to a paywall. And on top of that, we have the opportunity to still comment back to you. Go ahead and put into our episodes stuff you guys want to see. But at some point, when this channel continues to grow, it gets a little bit more difficult to it.
Hey,
Take
guys,
advantage of this season.
And I think there's no ads on our videos because we are not monetized yet. So you get us ad-free, baby. Ad-free, baby.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow, 14-team mock draft coming at you.
14 teams. 14 teams.
We'll see you next time.